today to talk about, well, if you've already read the title, you know, it's the extraordinary tag. And I was tagged by Lizzie Faye Loves Books. Lizzie has a great channel, so much energy, and that woman can read. Wow, the amount of books that she reads and listens to, both on audiobook, is amazing. And it's quite a range of them. So she tagged me, and this was an interesting tag, and I am going to be so cheeky. I mean, really cheeky in this tag, because it was originally done, I think, for a slightly different demographic, maybe, than an empty nester. So I might have had to take some liberties with some of the questions. But the original one came from Robin Schneider, and I will definitely put all the information down below, both Lizzie's as well as Robin's original tag, if you want to go out and take a look at that. Anyway, so the very first question that we have here is, so I've given question number 1 some thought. And giving up the internet, even though I love being a part of Booktube and I love all this connection, I don't know if that's really that dire to me, but I understand where the question's coming from. And I was thinking about it. One of the things I have going on is that, of course, I'm trying not to have tons of books and here in the house. I want to read tons of books. I don't necessarily want to own them. And a signed first edition, they're very special, and I love books that have meanings. And of course, if it was given to me by somebody who means a great deal, and we know they're also very valuable, but I don't really feel like I would need a first edition. So what I think I'm going to do is be a little bit craftier than that. And I went out and did some research to find out the most or the highest ever paid for a book type thing. And this is my thought. I want one of those. Yeah. And then I'd turn around and sell it. So which books would I choose?
This book is The Tales of Beetle the Bard by J.K. Rowling. So it is the same children's book that figures heavily in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows and eventually became a mass market paperback. But J.K. Rowling created 7 original copies, each one handwritten and illustrated by Rowling herself. 6 were given to friends and editors, but in 2007, one was put up for auction. It was snapped up by Amazon.com for a whopping $3.98 million, making it the most expensive modern manuscript ever purchased at auction. Now, before we go and want to hang whoever did put this up for auction, just know that the money from the sale of this book was donated to the Children's Voice charity campaign. However, that wasn't the most expensive one. So if I'm looking for money that I want to do something special with, I might have to go with the Codex Leicester, Leonardo da Vinci. The most famous of Da Vinci's scientific journals, the 72-page notebook is filled with the great thinker's handwritten musings and theories on everything from fossils to the movement of water to what makes the moon glow. The manuscript was first purchased in 1717 by Thomas Coke, who later became the Earl of Leicester, and then in 1980 bought from the Leicester estate by art collector Armand Hammer, who would hold on to this for 14 years. However, in 1994, Bill Gates nabbed the journal at auction for $30.8 million, making it the most expensive book ever purchased. But hey, at least Gates put his purchase to good use. He had the book scanned and turned into a screensaver distributed with Microsoft Plus for Windows 95.
Now, what would I do with the money? That's the real question. Well, I definitely would take care of my son and make sure he was taken care of. And of course, his father and I, we want to be able to take care of ourselves too so that we don't have to rely on him. But once everybody was taken care of, which really wouldn't be that much of, $30 million or whatever crazy, $30.8 million. What I would probably do is first try to find a place that needs a library. I would love to be able to sponsor and start up a library someplace where there isn't one. and or save a few of our libraries that are closing or trying to close. I am so fortunate to be in an area with a huge library system, and there's very rarely ever a book that I want to read that I can't find through that system. So that would be part of it. And then the other, I would probably donate some to public broadcasting. PBS, my gosh, I have been watching that for years, and I have donated over the years, but probably not near what I should. And there's so many wonderful programs that are out there. I mean, almost all the period dramas that we get from BBC that everybody is watching on Booktube. And of course, we can't say enough about, Sherlock, and we can't, and of course Downton Abbey. I mean, all these wonderful programs that we get to watch. I am a big fan of Friday nights watching a lot of the old British comedies, as time goes by, and Vicar of Dibley, and even Keeping Up Appearances keeps me laughing. So that would probably be what I would do with the rest of the money. So now on to number 2. So I'm not a huge pizza eater. I never have been, actually, but we do have a fantastic pizza place right down near our apartment building here. And so it would be a little bit hard to give it up, but I don't know. Well, no, it would be hard to give it up for a year. But again, understanding the gist of this, I would have to say that if I could sit on a very long flight, and I'm talking a flight from, I don't know, maybe New York to Mumbai to Singapore to New Zealand to a little teeny tiny island somewhere, I know exactly who I would love to sit with. He probably wouldn't love me sitting with him because he'd get no sleep, and that is Stephen Fry. I have always thought between him and Dame Judi Dench sitting at a dinner table would make for one of the most interesting conversations, maybe even throwing a Graham Norton in there. But Stephen Fry is definitely somebody who I would love to sit and chat with. His knowledge, his curiosity, of course, his great acting capabilities, and just how active he's been. Not to mention get a little bit of insight into Hugh Laurie would be great, and Rowan Atkinson, as I'm fans of them as well. So yeah, it'd have to be Stephen Fry. Okay, 1,000 hours of commercials. I don't even. I just really, really. The thought of that, as you can tell, is basically making me sick. I mean, somebody's life would have to depend on for me to sit through 1,000 hours of commercials. And somebody really probably close. No. I'm going to say somebody's life. They don't have to be really close and a good friend. I would sit through 1,000 hours for you. Oh, gosh, that's rough. So what? And to have something turned into a movie? Have you seen what Hollywood does with these things? Oh no. I almost think I need to turn it around. What is a book that I would sit through 1,000 hours of commercials to avoid Hollywood getting its grips on? That's more what I'm thinking. So let's see. I definitely wouldn't want them to touch The Alienist. I think they would make it way too gruesome. I think they would probably put love interest in there. I think they just would ruin that book in a movie. And I think a lot of people would love the movie and say they love The Alienist with never reading the book. So that would be one that I wouldn't want Hollywood to get their hands on. Now, let's turn it around and say, which book would I care less if Hollywood made a movie of? In fact, I think might improve the book, and that's going to be The Woman in Cabin Number 10. So, as you know, I did a review on that. I'll put that down below. Was not a fan because it read like a screenplay. And I felt like it was written, destined to be made into a movie, and not enough care and attention to story was actually put into it. And I have a feeling we'll probably see it on the big screen at some point. That one, no, I won't sit through anything, but Hollywood can have it. So now to number 4. Considering I love historical fiction, I don't know that I would want to live in any of those times. Especially because my historical fiction, and I mentioned the Alias earlier, usually involves some type of serial killer or, dastardly deed. And it's usually set in times that, I wouldn't want to live in that world. So that's a little tough. I mean, I also like to read about the Tudor court, and running around worried about your head all the time, or if you're in or out, whew, that's a little too tough for me as well. So I'd have to say that if I have to pick a book, the closest I could get would probably be All Creatures Great and Small, James Herriot, which was a real time as well. But if I could live in that bucolic type environment and be able to take the moments that he does and stop and enjoy the beauty and enjoy rural life and its pace, I think that would be about as close as I can get. But in most cases, some of my most beloved books, I don't know that I want to live there. No. Serial murders and people trying to kill me in very horrible ways. I'm not so sure. Number 5. I think I'd be more than happy with you checking into my Google search. I mean, there's only... Oh. Nah, it's hypothetical. Go look at my Google search. That's fine. Actually, this one was one of the best questions for me to think about. And the person I'm thinking of, I would love to have been from little girl up to, growing up with her and be her best friend. And it has a lot to do with because her interests and her things that we know her for really kind of resonate with the things that I'm interested in even now. And the period wasn't too bad, except for women weren't treated very equal, but I still would have liked to have been best friends with Beatrix Potter. I mean, the woman was fierce in getting her stories published. She was very independent, and her stories were written for children, but they have wonderful lessons for all of us. And she was an illustrator and a colorist, a watercolorist, and she loved to garden. These are all things I love to do, and she knew so much, and she never sat still. I would have loved to have been there to keep cheering her on. I don't think I would have been leading her in any way. I think I would have been following in her wake, but what a wake to follow in. So for me, it's Beatrix Potter. Number 6. All right, this is one of those classics where I don't think it was necessarily for, my generation or for an empty nester. Trying to figure out a love interest or somebody that I could date. First of all, husband would not like it. So donating everything. Actually, that's not such a big deal. At some point, I wish I could do that. Just have somebody come to the house, take everything, and, be done with it. I don't really think I'd like to date anybody that I've read about. And again, historical fiction, serial killers, or even some of my fiction, most of the time is about quirky, weird people that I would not want anybody to date. And, if the person that's solving, it's kind of like Sherlock Holmes, he's great and everything, but I don't want to date him. I mean, he's got a lot of, even Benedict Cumberbatch's version of Sherlock Holmes, I don't think I want to date. So besides having a husband who would frown down upon it, I had to go all the way back to, all right, fine, whenever I was younger. And I think Lizzie had to do this as well. And I was trying to think, was there anybody when I read, and yeah, I'm sure in some little romancy ones that I might have read, I might have liked some guy or another, but I suddenly realized it was whenever I was reading Louis L'Amour, and in the Westerns, it was about the last time that I even thought about somebody I might want to date, and it would be Orrin Sackett from the Daybreakers, or from the Sacketts. He's one of the brothers. And he was funny, he was intelligent, he was dynamic. And so Orrin Sackett definitely. Now, it doesn't hurt any that he was played by, what's his name? Tom, with the mustache, Magnum P.I. Yeah, him. You got it. In one of the movies. But I guess for me, it'd have to be Orrin Sackett. So now it's time to tag a few of you out there. This is a fun tag, and you can take it literally, you can take it in any direction, but I'd be very interested to hear your answers. And that is Kate Howe, Leanne at Literary Diversions, Stephanie at That's What She Read, and Jane Catherine at Jane Catherine on Books, and Book Your Imagination. I'd love to hear your answers to this. Have a great day.